I'm
All
curious
right.
about these questions.
All right, we have officially started recording. Everybody who is listening, welcome to the Art of Human podcast. Today we have special guest. His name is Dr. Elam or Marcus Elam. He is somebody who I met back when I was in university at Cal Poly Pomona. He is a metabolism professor. He also teaches a variety of other courses, including sports nutrition, which is a course that I took with him. Um, And I actually asked him about being on the podcast. This was what, like back December, right, Professor?
Yeah, in fact, it was great to hear from you. But I'm not sure what was going on then, but just kind of busy, and I didn't get back to you on that one. But anyway, I'm doing it now. I reached
Yes.
out, so
So yeah, Dr. Elam just hit me up maybe like 2 weeks ago. And it was almost like 10, 11 months later, but it came at a good time. It was like just very surprising because it was, unexpected at this point. Um, but yeah, Dr. Elam, how's your day been today?
pretty short.
What
Uh,
time is it over there?
7:46.
All right, so for the listeners, so I'm in Houston, Texas, so I'm 2 hours ahead, so it's 9:46, and Professor's in California, so we've got a little time gap going on. What are you drinking? What kind of coffee are you drinking?
This is a coconut cream. That's a light coffee.
Light coffee?
Yeah, half, and just some sugar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we want, let's start off by building a little bit more context for the listeners. I kind of started that off, but if you want to just tell us about, like, I know I've been saying professor because I'm just kind of used to that, but first and foremost, you're a human being. And how about you give us a little bit more context as to how you would describe Marcus Elam, like who is this person?
Okay, that's interesting. I've never had that kind of question, or not labeled that way. Um, I would say I'm a thinker. Um, Probably think too much at times, but um, yeah, I'm very much into health, fitness, and I'm not being cheesy or just saying that, but I like to take care of myself. Probably more so now.
Mm,
Um, in fact, I lost. See, last year around this time, I was about 212. I even got up to 215, and now I'm down to about 191. In fact, I was 191 yesterday after my run.
okay.
Uh, about 195, But I believe that, and it's been shown, having a lower weight um, to your height, of course, would be is definitely healthier.
Mm,
To prevent things like diabetes, which is pretty prevalent in my family. So, but anyway, um, I love to learn, uh, and not. I mean, honestly, I spend a lot of time, dealing with stuff for work. But I like learning stuff outside of that. You know, um, so I like to read. I would say non-fictional stuff.
mm.
Um, I'm very competitive, not like crazy competitive, but I love games. So it doesn't matter what game it is. I love, you know, I love the competition. Even if I
Okay.
lose, you know. Um, let me see, what else can I say?
I'm curious to know what books, like what's the books that you've read, like off the top of your head, like maybe favorite books.
All right, so I can tell you, this more recently this summer, um, that I've read, or I've been reading. I haven't finished any of them. I almost never finish a book, but I get pretty close to the end.
Okay.
I did start reading City of God, so you've probably seen that movie.
I haven't.
You didn't see the movie? Oh
No,
man,
when did
you
it
gotta
come
see that
out?
movie. It came out in 2002.
No, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen that? So it's a Brazilian movie.
Oh, okay.
It's all in Portuguese. Love that movie. But anyway, so I bought the book, and it was a lot thicker than I thought it was. That's actually the only fictional book I have.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty descriptive.
Mm.
Anyway, that one, um, I what else did I read? Yeah. So another one I'm still finishing up is it's the I think it's the history of or something of a black conservative. So
Mm.
it's in fact the guy who I do like and I look up to. He's in Texas. I think
Mm.
he's the senator out there. Um, West is Alan West.
Oh, okay.
So shout out to him. That's his book. Um, I am conservative. I'm not a liberal or um, that's another topic.
Mm.
But and one more book I can't actually I have been reading, not reading, but studying a lot. Is my Brazilian Portuguese book. So that's another thing that you may not have caught or known about me. But yeah, I've been learning Portuguese for about 2 years.
Hmm.
Um,
What
yeah,
caught your interest to start learning that?
the music.
The music, really?
Yeah,
Like what kind of music?
I like samba. Um, Samba. That's pretty much the main one. But I just love the language. I like the way it sounds. Um, yeah, I mean the history
Uh,
is interesting to me.
how do you say hello? How do you say hello?
Hello, hola.
Hola?
Yeah, it's spelled differently than Spanish.
Oh, okay. You know what? I do know a little bit of Portuguese too.
Well, yeah, you would because it's just the fact that they're pronounced a little bit differently, some words, and also the spelled differently.
Yeah,
But
because bom dia is good morning, right?
bom dia, yeah,
Bom dia. Okay. Because I know
yeah.
I've seen I used to keep up with like Ronaldo, the soccer player, and he would
Ronaldo.
like, huh?
There are in the front in the, as the first word of letter in the word is H sound. Huh.
Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Really? I think Ronaldo, the soccer player, goes by Ronaldo though.
I mean, you might pronounce it that way, but they pronounce it with an H sound.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I know that because I know a fighter. Do you know Hickson Gracie? He's a
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu
yeah.
martial artist. Yeah, because like him, I first would say Rickson Gracie, but then everyone would say Hickson Gracie. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Um, all
I
right.
mean, there's a lot of
Well,
things I can say, I guess, but
huh?
I said there's a lot of things I could say, I guess, but
No, that's cool. I mean, we could spend 2 hours just trying to build context for who you are, you know. But it's cool. That's good. Um, let's get into some happiness and health talk. You know, my first question is like, what makes you happy? I know it's, there's a lot of angles you could take upon that, but what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I'm like, what makes you happy?
yeah, yeah. Um, I would say I like I love seeing people improve. I love seeing probably some of the most important things to me would be um, our kids. I don't have kids yet,
Mm-hmm.
but that's something that's actually it's important to me. Um, in fact, I'll tell you, I'm also a big brother, a big bro, in the big bro program, and I'll probably see my little bro this weekend. But so building healthy, um, not healthy as in health per se, but just well-rounded, um, good people, society, community is, um, I care about that, and whatever it may be. But so I would say um, that would be definitely what that makes me happy. I like seeing, I like helping people, uh, kids for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Do you feel like part of that is kind of why you decided to like become a professor or a teacher? Because you like to teach people, and obviously as a teacher you would hope to see improvement from your students. Like, is that kind of a part of the inspiration for being a teacher, like to be that leadership role? Or
To be honest with you, being a professor kind of just happened. I mean, I didn't, I didn't set out or plan to do that,
hmm.
But I've always had some interest in teaching others.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter where I'm at or what I'm doing or what it is. I always find myself teaching or doing some kind of, and I don't mean like, putting something on you, pushing it on you, or nothing like that. No, I mean just, um, and that's why I do like my run-ins with kids, or so if I'm at the park,
Hmm.
and I'm just playing basketball. I love playing with the kids, and I mean just randomly,
Hmm.
I end up teaching them something. In fact, there was a girl that I met a few weeks ago, and I seen her this start the second time. Um, was it yesterday or day before yesterday? Day before yesterday, and I taught her how to improve her dribbling. You
Hmm.
know, because I saw that she kept looking down. She was like this.
Hmm.
Anybody can steal the ball from you if you keep looking down, to the ground.
Yeah.
So, and I taught her how to shoot because she said her jump shot was horrible. I said, yeah, you shoot like a girl, and that's straighten it up a little bit, get off your
Hmm.
chest, you know. But so little things like that. Um, but I think it's really important to um, have that, yeah, to having that positive role, authoritative figure in a child's life. So that would be one thing that for sure makes me happy. And the same thing, yeah, when as a professor,
Hmm.
um, I like I like seeing students who they start out real bad, they got a low grade. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
But I see them come to class every day. They're working, and then they come to me, or I go to them now. A lot of times I say, you're not doing well. What's up? Um, and they get their grade up. Next thing I know, this girl or guy has a B, a A, and I really like seeing that. So that
Hmm.
improvement.
What do you think? Because I feel like a lot of us, from my observation and definitely from myself, like we grow up wanting to do the thing that sometimes were struggles in our own life. Like, for instance, myself, like I've been training a lot, focusing on my breathing and focusing on flexibility and like just really being healthy because I suffered a lot during college with injuries and things of that sort. So now I catch myself teaching people about breathing and how to have proper mechanics and just things of that sort. And kind of like you said, like I'm not pushing it on them, but if it just so happens that the situation is there, I'll talk about it. And this is what I'm passionate about because I kind of had a lot of trouble with it myself. Do you feel like you have some inspiration as to why you have like a motivation to like want to be a figure? Like, is it because anything from your childhood? Like, do you kind of wish that you had somebody to teach you those kind of things, and so now you want to be that figure, or where do you think that inspiration to want to teach people comes from?
Another good question. For sure, one of my I would say inspirations and also teachers, um, and also showing me some bad examples as well would
Mm,
be my father. Um,
mm,
we're very close, but I learned a lot from him as a kid, and I'm still learning stuff. But you know, um, I uh, how can I go to this question? Answer this question. You might want to edit this one. Um,
nah, don't worry, you're good.
but yeah, learning how to, I think, is important just to see examples and that's really the key, especially for children, for kids,
Mm-hmm.
or for, you know, I mean, especially for younger people. But as they get older, it's still important. You have to show them good examples.
Yeah.
And so if you're not doing what you say you do, then they know that it's almost like a spiritual thing
Yeah.
where they they know that you're not genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's where a lot of I think a lot of parents may go wrong is they're saying one thing and yet they're doing something behind closed doors is different. Um, or I mean, it could be right in front of their face. That's probably the most traumatic thing. Uh, I think that has a pretty lasting impact. But yeah, my my father, I learned a lot from him. Um, but at the same time, there were things that I didn't pick up. He didn't. Uh, I didn't learn from him. So
Mm-hmm.
you had to, go through experiences and kind of pick things up along the way yourself, which I mean everybody has to do anyway. Um, but um,
No, I think
you
it's
can kind of probe me a little bit more on that question. I can't.
yeah. I was just gonna say that, like, because it's interesting enough. Ever since I graduated Cal Poly, which is about a year and a half ago, and I started this podcast roughly a year ago, last December. I've really also have become kind of the things that you're talking about, like wanting to inspire younger people, because it is important to just be a good leader, and hopefully you can inspire people who are older, but children are the most susceptible for change, because their mind's a lot less kind of influenced. And something that I've talked a lot about on this podcast, and something that I've learned a lot about, has been about the subconscious. I don't know if you've ever like read into it a lot, but there's a really good book. It's called The Genie Within, and it basically teaches you about your subconscious and how to communicate with it, and how a lot of the way that adults behave is heavily influenced by your very early years. So you can be a 40-50-year-old adult, but you can still have behaviors because of certain things that happened when you were 4 or 5 years old. And
Absolutely.
so I think, talking about happiness and health, I think, there's always like, everything's like two-sided, right? So like you help a child, like when you probably taught that girl how to shoot the basketball, it's like she was probably happy because someone taught her and you kind of gave her that attention. But then you also felt a certain like joy because, like, just because you did it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there's definitely a level of like beauty that goes into that.
I
Um,
agree.
I know that, yeah, we don't got too much time, and something that I feel like you have a lot of experience and knowledge about, and you already said it, that you're super passionate about exercise, and obviously you're educated on nutrition. Like, do you have any specific rituals that you do that you feel really help you with your health? Do you have any particular rituals that you do like on a very consistent basis?
Mhm. Yeah, I wouldn't call them rituals. Excuse me. I wouldn't say rituals per se, but you could say routine,
Mm,
whatever term you want to use. But um, wake up and do. Some might say meditation. You might say just breathing. I just say just sit, do nothing, in quiet.
mm,
So it's just quiet time and silencing yourself. Um, you know, eyes closed, no music, no nothing, just you and your inner self as the genie within. I like that, so I'll
mm.
probably look into that. But I haven't been doing it unfortunately, not every day. At least not recently. But as far as you said, morning, right? Morning, coffee, pastry, um, and that's pretty much it. That as far as my consistent thing. Lately here, I've been looking at ESPN
Mm.
every morning. Catching up on the NBA. Um, but yeah, that's probably it.
Okay, I'm actually curious to like know a little bit more. You said so when you wake up, you'd lay in bed and you just kind of lay in the
I
darkness.
don't
The darkness or no?
I don't lay there. No, so you get up. I mean, get in your chair or whatever.
Mhm.
You can be on the floor, I guess too. And yeah, you just sit. You know, in quiet, and you don't block out thoughts.
Mhm.
You just allow them to kind of pass by or come through.
Mhm.
Um, the whole idea is to not judge the thoughts.
Mhm.
Um, you don't put any kind of label on, oh, this is a bad thought, this is a good thought. Oh, shouldn't have thought that. You
Mhm.
know, and also so-called good thoughts or positive things are equal to negative. You know,
Mhm.
so basically just is you're not affected by it.
Mhm.
Because what the whole idea is to ignore the thoughts. And unfortunately, everyone, we spend a lot of time acknowledging thoughts, and
Mhm.
we follow them, we believe them. So that's the whole idea, is to um, be able to recognize thoughts and ignore them.
And what does that do for you? Do you feel like when you do that, do you feel like you have some mental clarity, like you're just more accepting of yourself, you kind of judge yourself less, it gets you started in a very neutral mind state? Like what is it like when
Absolutely.
you have a day when you do that and then when you compare it to a day when you don't do it, like what's the differences?
Um, that's something I can't answer at this point because, like I said, I mean, um, I have been inconsistent.
Mhm.
There have been times where, but I would say I'm definitely more. You feel more spiritually connected to God. Um, you know, um, you kind of don't. At least you can avoid some of the so-called traps
Mhm.
of some of the maybe bad things that you might get into. Um, so because the thing about it again is that you're able to recognize, you see things or see um, you catch these thoughts before they blossom into action. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that's the whole. So I would say, yeah, you're more, as you're saying, you have more clarity. You're definitely better spiritually connected. So in fact, it's kind of like if you ever done a fast. Um, when you fast and you deliberately you do it intentionally do it, um, you're definitely more um, self-aware. You're more connected. You
Mhm.
got a more of a clear mind. Yeah,
Do you feel
I
like
can't so I can't say, because again I have not been. Um, I can't say that there's a significant difference.
mhm.
If you know, so
Okay, I was gonna say with the fasting, like I don't know how often you've done it, but you said it kind of gives you a clarity. Are you talking about like because I've fasted sometimes, like whether it's intentional or not intentional, but because sometimes we get in the habit, like for me, like sometimes I'll be hungry, I'll be like, man, I'm so hungry, and like you'll kind of just complain about it, right?
exactly.
Because maybe you're in class or whatever, you're on a tight schedule. But when you feel hungry, I've noticed when I feel hungry, but when I just put myself in that meditative state, like that energy conservation state, like just
Yeah,
being very
conservation.
disciplined about it, like I feel like it's true, you kind of go into this like meditative space because you know that expending any extra energy is just going to be like counterintuitive. Is that kind of where you feel
That
that focus comes from?
well, actually, it has been. That's one of the benefits of fasting, and also, um, I guess to a degree, keto.
Mhm.
Um, you tend to get, at least at some point, this focus, this clear, mind.
Mhm.
So it's kind of similar to that, but the um, you don't. I'm talking about like if I set out what day, so I say, okay, I'm gonna fast today. I'm not gonna complain.
Mhm.
You know, I'm doing this to focus and to get to clear my mind and to reconnect, uh, to connect with God. I'm a Christian. I believe in that, and so it's a little bit different from I have something. Oh, I can't get food.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fasting. That's just you can't eat. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
but
yeah. Yours is purposeful. Yeah.
yeah, it has to be purposeful. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to necessarily be. In fact, you don't have to necessarily believe in God. Um, I wouldn't necessarily personally agree with that so much, but I wouldn't. But um, if you, let's say for example, I have something due. I got a major deadline. I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to even eat. But I'm very focused. Uh, your body can it allows you to still, as you were saying, those energy reservations or reserves. You can
Mm-hmm.
tap into that, and you're good. You don't actually need it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you're able to focus and get that work done. So
Okay.
I don't know if it's I think it's obviously best when you're intent about it, you know,
Yeah.
and you're positive about it. You're not, complaining and all that stuff. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, because I'm becoming more aware of it, and I know you know too. Like the mental aspect has such a big influence on nutrition
Absolutely.
and our metabolism, right?
Absolutely.
My next question to hopefully give listeners like some insightful information. You having your PhD in nutrition, like what would be like you observing, just from experiences that you have from talking with people and just like everyday people, like what's your biggest, like what do you notice most about people's diets or like people's concerns about diets? Like what do you think is, or what do people need to focus their attention on, and maybe what are they like focusing too much on, which is not healthy for them, if that makes sense? Like you being a professional, like what do you notice in people, and like what would you recommend for just general, like as a general recommendation?
Hmm. That's a great question. Yeah, really good questions. If I
Thanks.
can remember what you asked me, I can answer better. So I'm gonna write it down. Um, yeah, what I notice is people are caught up, especially these days, are caught up on trends.
Mhm.
They're caught up on social media and
Mhm.
what who so and so is doing. This is one of the reasons why I generally don't waste my time talking about um, stuff that you should do, or I don't give unwarranted advice,
Mhm.
or if it's not requested. Even if I give it, everyone's an expert. I'm pretty sure you've noticed that yourself. But so it can be kind of difficult or annoying to talk to people about uh, exercise, health. Exercise is probably a little bit um, better because not everybody does it,
Mhm.
but everybody eats and
Yeah.
everybody knows, something. So, but what I would say is they focus too much on these micro or fine things. I would say focus on the macro. You know,
Mm.
um, in fact, since COVID, man, I'm in the best shape of my life. I mean, I'm talking about how I look, how I feel, um, health wise,
Mm.
But and I just did one basic thing, and that was eat less.
Mm.
That's one of the most important things that we should do. Um, we have to stop eating so much and stop eating so frequently.
Mm.
Um, you know, and I think that you have to kind of train yourself over time to stop, maybe, yeah, ignore the thoughts,
Mm.
even with food. Um, your body's telling you, or your mind's telling you, man, you gotta, why don't you eat that? Go eat something, and or I don't know, whatever it is. Um, but you have to forget that and focus on, yeah, eating less, um, not taking so many snacks. That's something I've always been a big snacker.
Mhm.
I think that definitely can get you towards losing some weight.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, what I notice is, like, for example, I won't say who, or yeah, my sister, for example.
Okay.
For example, she's always had she's always been to some degree overweight, even though she lost a lot of weight in college,
Mm-hmm.
and I was super proud of that. And she kept her weight down for a long time. But she's had kids now, so it's really difficult for her to exercise. And I think that she's a little bit slacked off on her diet a bit. Although I think she's pretty solid with a diet. But she's taking up things like keto and um, intermittent fasting, and I say, man, forget all that. You know, just focus on getting a little bit less,
Mm-hmm.
cutting out something that you can't seem to get away from.
Mm-hmm.
For example, um, when I was in grad school, one of the things I would do, I would come home after a workout. And man, I would gorge on roasted salted peanuts, like a big bag, and watermelon and mango and all this stuff. Um, so cut that out. Not saying that you can't have it, but just eat less of it.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of things.
Okay. And you
Shout out to you.
saying that, huh?
I'm sorry if that was winded, but
No, no, you're good. I was just gonna say that from you saying that, like one of the things that came to my mind because you were talking about like if you have that voice in your head telling you to like eat that candy or something like that, to kind of try to not listen to that voice. But the thing that came to my mind, because one of the things that the book The Genie Within talks about is how the subconscious, it's the power, and the conscious mind it's the master. But if you're not aware of how to utilize your subconscious, the subconscious would basically override whatever you consciously want to change, right? So like consciously you might want to say I want to be on a healthier diet, but if you don't address those like more fundamental issues, like then you won't actually be able to change, if that makes sense. Like if you're eating a lot because emotion, right? Because a lot of people overeat because emotions. If you don't address those emotions, then no matter how hard you want to try to change it, like that subconscious is going to overpower your conscious effort.
yeah, absolutely. And you bring up
So
a point.
yeah, so it's like that's why, like, to be honest with you, I've kind of been migrate. I haven't been doing too much nutrition in terms of like I worked at a eating disorder clinic for about 7 months, almost immediately after I graduated. But after that, I left at the start of this year. So it's
Mhm.
been it's October now, so it's been like 10 months, and I haven't worked in like a nutrition related field. And the kind of reason for myself that I've kind of like I guess I'm just finding out that my passion is more towards like just a lot more basic level stuff, right? Because like there's nutrition, but then like I said right now, like if you don't have a good mental state of mind, like it's really hard to progress, really to like progress on bettering your situation, And obviously I saw that with the patients at the eating disorder clinic, because these girls like have a terrible relationship with food, and you could tell them how this is a well balanced meal and how having this is okay, and you could tell them and they understand that yes, that's true, that's okay, but mentally it's extremely hard for them to change that because their subconscious has been filled with the idea of the diet trends that you're talking about, all the celebrities who talk about so and so
Right.
diets and they're on commercials. And so it's like all these things are literally fed into your subconscious, and in spite of getting like reasonable, logical, like information from professionals, dietitians and all that, like it's you still can't, like it's still really hard to change.
Yeah,
So
you can't make them change or do. I mean, they have to. That's why I always say, I can't motivate somebody. You have to
mhm,
motivate. It has to come from within you.
mhm,
Um, and a lot of that we've already talked about it. A lot of those issues, probably all of them, they're derived from childhood. They're derived from their parents,
mhm,
most likely, or somebody close to them, and it messed them up.
yeah,
You know,
mhm,
and that's so crazy that uh, it then can also affect how you, yeah, as you were saying, your relationship with food, definitely, because they believe that, as you said, the subconscious, they
mhm,
believe those thoughts.
mhm. Um, I'm gonna ask you another question. It might make
We
you
could talk for
uncomfortable.
hours, man.
I know we can. I asked this question to not the last guest I had on the podcast, but 2 podcasts ago. And what kind of inspired me to ask this question was because I was on LinkedIn, and there's like this video that I saw, and it was, I don't even know who the dude was, but there was like 2 guys talking. It was like maybe it was a podcast or something. And the guy was saying that one of the things that he started doing every day that like really helped change his life is he would ask himself 3 questions every time he would wake up, right? So he would ask himself, how can I be of service today? What's one thing, like what do I love about myself right now? And then the last one was, how is this exact moment like perfect? Like, because we're always searching for the next big move. You're always trying to go to the next goal, like, whether it's to be stronger, whether it's to get this kind of career, whatever. But it's like he says, how is right now everything I need, right? Because we're always looking for the future. So it's
Yeah.
like the right now. So I wanted to ask you, those are the 3 questions, but I wanted to ask you, what's something that you love about yourself,
You said, what is something that I love about
that
myself?
you love about yourself right now?
Um, I would say, and it's something I hear all the time, or I
Mm-hmm.
have heard in different forms. But I'll just say it in a phrase. You march to the beat of your own drum. Um, I would say that's that also describes me.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own beliefs, have my own thoughts and perspectives, and yeah, they aren't dictated by anything or anybody else. I make my own conclusions about things, and most often, or hopefully, it's based on fact. You know, but I see things around me like you from experiences, and I'm not the kind of person who, definitely not the kind of person who just will follow along with what everyone else is doing or says. I've always been away. I've always been someone would say a nonconformist, but I'm just not. I've never been a follower. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I may not always lead, but I'm not going to follow. If I don't agree or if I don't, you know, also feel the same way. So that's something that I like about myself, definitely, and I think it's important. I think everyone, in fact, that's something that I also would pass on to or transfer to, you know, younger people is to, yeah, you got to be yourself. You got to, yeah, you can't worry about what other people are saying. That's tough, and I think it's something that we're always working on. Um, some more than others or less, but you have to march to the beat of your own drum,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that may be. Hopefully, it's
Yeah.
nothing negative, bad, but yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, that's like really tough. And I think everybody goes through it. And like, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, you have to work on it. It's kind of like you're always working on it. But I've always perceived you as being like a very like pretty much calm, cool, collective kind of person. And like I would say that, and this is just,
You're gonna say about me?
well, yeah. I just feel like it's true. Like, I don't know, you as a professor, when I had you as a professor, like I had noticed that you had kind of a particular way of just doing your things. And it was like I felt like in spite of maybe the chaos that was going on, because sometimes there's a lot of students in the classroom and people saying this and that and asking questions, like you're
Right.
always able to just kind of stay calm and just kind of continue doing what you're doing. Like, do you ever get anxious? And like, if you do get anxious, like what is it? What kind of mental like mechanism do you have to just kind of keep yourself grounded and just kind of confident in what you're doing? Because like to be able to just be yourself, like, it takes courage, because a lot of times you might stand out because you're not doing what everybody else is doing. Like, what gives you the confidence to stay on your on your beat, you know?
I mean, if you want me to answer that from a perspective of you know, an instructor, um, I learned a lot over the years, especially with the group that we had, or your group. It
Mm-hmm.
was a big class, a lot of smart people in that class. I was still refining things, or kind of improving, my courses and that kind of thing. But I think probably one of the things that can be tough are the questions that you might get.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea. You can't prepare for this. All you can do is try to do your homework. Even then, I think I always learn something from the students,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean they're the ones who are out there and looking at this or that, or they heard something, and you have no idea uh, what to say on that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. In those situations, I think it is important. I'm still getting better and better at this, even after all this time. It's just to stay humble.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know everything. Um, Even when you've reached a certain level, you still don't know everything,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's best to just you know acknowledge that and convey it. Yeah,
Dude,
I haven't heard
that's
that before. I like that, and I want to learn more about that. You know,
about what?
no, I'm just saying that something that you might think or you might,
Oh, I got you. I got you.
yeah. Um,
No, it's crazy though, because and that's a tough thing to do too, because a lot of people, they have their PhD or they have a degree, or you might be quote unquote an expert in whatever the hell you've been doing, and you've been doing it your whole life, and then people get like upset when you kind of say something that's against what they're thinking, or you ask questions like, but I did notice that with you, like if you didn't know, you wouldn't try to like come up with some sophisticated answer to try to like, you know.
it's gonna look worse. I mean, also you might say, and I've done that before. You might say something that is totally wrong.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's best to be humble about it, and um, you can speculate, not speculate, but you can kind of reason with it a little bit with
Mhm.
what you do know.
Yeah.
But you have to say that, but I'm not sure on that, and I'm gonna look into it further, and get back to you or something like that. You know,
Yeah, and I remember like I think Professor Flores, she would also like if someone asked her like a really complicated question and she didn't know the answer, she'd be like, "That's above my pay grade." Like it was always just funny, but it was, to me, maybe other people perceive it differently, but for me, I find it like I find it inspiring when you have somebody who is like a leader, but then they say they don't know, because it's just like, I don't know, in a way that's inspiring, because it's just like, yo, this person's not trying to act like they know everything,
yeah, yeah,
like, because you got other people who just always tell you what to do and like act like they know everything, but it's just like, yo, like nobody knows everything, you
exactly.
know. And I mean, obviously, if we're talking about something scientific like nutrition and stuff, like this is more like factual based, but when it comes to like just life advice, like nobody really knows the best answer, in my opinion, except yourself. I
Exactly.
could
You're
tell you what you should be doing to feel better, but it's like really what I've found is like I just need to ask questions like, how are you feeling? And then just listen. Like, cause you're gonna have the revelation yourself as to what you need to do to get better, you know?
I couldn't agree more.
Dude, cause
And that's
like,
so funny.
go ahead.
I was gonna say that's so funny to me that what you're saying. It's I feel the same exact same way. You might It might come from a different place, or might say it differently, but ultimately it's the same thing. Totally.
Yeah. How are we doing on time?
It's 8:28. Pretty good.
So you're done at what time? You gotta sign out at 8:30, no?
So I was gonna have another meeting with some of the guys from it's called the phys, Sport Science or Physique, something like that club. It's a new club, and just kind of brainstorm some ideas about how to stimulate the direction of the club. But that's it. 12, I think. So
Okay, but you have something at 9 though, right?
no. Well,
Oh, okay.
so what I was gonna do is I was gonna set aside that time for those guys for that meeting, but
Okay.
we're not gonna do it that time. So I'm,
Okay.
I'm free.
Um.
Let me heat up my coffee real quick.
All right, go ahead. Oh, shit.
All right.
It's all heated up.
Let's see. Perfect.
It's good. Well, either way, we're probably gonna start wrapping it up because I got this Airbnb. I gotta be out of here at 11. It's 10:30. Um, I was gonna say this is like usually the last question I've been ending the podcast with, and this is what I did last season, and I'm still doing it because I kind of like the way it wraps up. And you let me know what you think, like once you're done answering. If you could convey a message to the entire human race, like the entire planet, whatever you have to say would be translated and understood by anybody on the planet. What would be your message right now, today, on what, August 9th?
No, August.
I
No,
mean,
it's
October,
October.
October, October. What would be your message today, October 9th, this wonderful morning? What would be your message for the human race?
That's easy.
Is it?
Uh,
All right.
it's an easy question. Because it's something that I see in everyone. I've seen in myself, and that is to get over your anger. I think that everyone at some point, as you were saying, you can see a 50-year-old person, a man, uh, and they still have little things that they do that they've been doing since freaking 5 years old. Who knows? Um, you have to get over the anger. You have to because especially these days, what I'm seeing is people are just caught up in um, caught up in hatred for other people. Um, and I think that is really like a blindfold. You know, one of the things that growth as a man, as a woman, you have to go beyond those feelings, and that's how you're able to see clearly. You know, is not being angry. Uh, so yeah, I mean, whatever happened to you when you were a kid, for example, um, it can still be haunting you today, definitely. And if you're mad about it, it's going to affect you. And I'm not saying I'm completely free or I'm perfect or nothing like that, but I at least recognize that. And I would say more or less, depending on the person. For example, I've seen. In fact, I was just looking at this a few days ago. Video of a guy who he had killed. I mean, he killed this woman to the point of they couldn't recognize her in her face. She was like 80 years old. Tried to rob her in her home, and beat her to death. You know, I think he raped his sister or something like that. Crazy. This guy was in court, and he just had no remorse. He was laughing and joking about it, and falling asleep. Craziness. But what I saw was, and in fact, what they said was he had a lot of troubles as a youth, as a child growing up. His father wasn't around. He was abused, and so all you end up doing is you become very angry about what happened to you, and so uh, you can't help but put that on others or your surroundings, your environment. You destroy it. You destroy everything around you. So I think uh, getting rid of the anger is probably it is the most important thing uh, for everyone. That's what
How have you let go? How have you let go of some of the anger that you've had in your life?
Um, I'll tell you this one. Growing up, I'm from the southeast. Well, I mean, Virginia is it's one of the, I guess, second northernmost southern states of the South, but that doesn't really matter. Anyway, and so where I grew up, it's all just black and white. There's no, I mean, there's probably more so these days, maybe more Hispanics, maybe a little bit more Asian, um, but it's very 40, 50, you know, black and white. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, there's many counties. The next county over, one of the counties over, was like 80% black. That kind of thing happened. It was very common. So I was, I grew up believing, um, maybe even seeing or thinking I saw, I don't know, racism. Using people calling, well, not calling each other, but I was called nigger or N word. Uh, it doesn't bother me. I'm not sure what you do with that, but um, so yeah, I was called that by kids, and that's because they heard it from their parents, you know. But and so you don't know why. You just you don't like white people, and um, that's something that I had to definitely get over.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually dislike white people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't dislike. Um, in fact, a lot of the kids that I spent time with, they were white. I liked them. I didn't particularly care that they were white or whatever. But the thing about it is, you start to believe what other people believe. For whatever reason, they might be angry. Um, their parents might be angry towards you know whites or whoever or whatever. Um, and you then take that on as your own. You see. So anyway, one of the things that I did was when I got about a little bit older, much older, um, I stopped having any kind of feelings towards white people, and that opens your eyes up to different things. I mean, in fact, one of my best friends he's white, um, and I'm very, I mean, um, happy about that. Not because of that, but just because he's a cool guy. We have a lot of things in common, and you can talk to. It's important to have somebody you can talk to about anything. But anyway, um,
So do you feel like you were able to let it go just through maturity and having an understanding that you were acting like that, not so much because it was actually coming from your heart, but because the people that were around you and you noticed that, so then you were able to let it go because of that kind of knowledge and perspective through maturity?
you could say that. Um, I would say that my reasoning was because it was kind of like I'm supposed to.
Mm,
You're supposed to not like white people. Even if you look at one of my favorite shows from back in the day, well, not back in the day, but Dave Chappelle show, the Chappelle
mm,
show, right? And there was a scene on there. It was a game show, and um, he was like something like somebody said, we're not even supposed to be like white folks or white people anyway. Um, I don't remember exactly what the question was, what he said, but that was basically what it was. And I don't believe that. I don't look at any person and think or feel that we shouldn't hang out or spend time together or talk or nothing like that. I don't care that you're whatever you are. It doesn't matter, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Um, in that case, it was the it was me realizing that what, this is me. Uh, I don't believe that. I don't feel that way. I like that dude, or that girl or whatever. And that's their problem. That's how they feel, they think. But overall, I think for getting over the anger is we have to forgive others. I think that's the real key.
All right. All right, Professor. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Yeah,
You know,
likewise.
we talked about a lot of cool stuff. Um, yeah, I just
Before,
want to say, huh? Go ahead.
before we go, I want to say, and I want whoever is listening to know that you are always. I won't give you that much credit, but I would say you one of my top three, my favorite students, definitely. And it was always it was helpful for me, refreshing for me, to have a student like you. I mean, a male student, so smart, such a good spirit, such a good, mindset. I could tell. Um, so yeah, I always liked being around you. And
Likewise.
yeah,
All right. Well, yeah.
for
Thanks
inviting me.
again, then. Thank you so much. And yeah, maybe when I got like a professional studio, we'll have you come back in, and we'll have some nice old cameras, and you know. So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll end the recording now.
Thank you.
No problem.